This is LA trends. Yom Kippur, that's lovely. There you go. The FBI, oh God, with the Nasser case, I can't, because you can't sometimes. And Jim Breuer, again, this is the easy way to get press, folks. Seems like one of those clips from a school board meeting.
I had COVID. You're not going to tell me about my body. I know my body. I know my morals. I know my faith. You don't come telling me and threaten me. And when our leader put that out there and pointed the finger like we're the demons, I'm not vaccinated. I had COVID. You're not going to tell me about...
Oh, God. I can tell you a little bit about your faith. You believe it supersedes your duty to your fellow man if it's inconvenient at all. That's what your faith tells you, Jim. Sorry. I honestly, this is religion as a cudgel. It's silly. I do think you need some sleep, I will say. And you're giving off kind of like steroided Kirk Cameron energy right now. So yeah, so this is the clip that's circulating. And by the way, does he always just look stare in fear at his guests? What? People like him are in a minority. They're loud, but they don't represent the majority. Jim and his ilk have been left behind while the society proceeds without them. Yeah. Well, largely.
With getting a COVID shot, and now they're saying I can't come see you perform unless I do that. And I looked into it, and that's the last thing you should be doing is going, hey, you want to come see like feeding the seal the fish. Hey, you want to come see a concert? You want to here, catch the fit. Why would you do that? Why would you? I don't want any of my fans forced.
They're not forced. They can watch your specials. But if they're going to gather in a crowd where they can pass a disease that's currently swamping the areas you are playing, the venue itself has the right to protect their staff and their regular customers, because I guarantee it, when Jim Breuer comes to town, they're papering the room. They're passing out free tickets. People win tickets to the next show. If you've ever been to a comedy club, they always go, hey, anybody here wins tickets to the next show, or you get on our mailing list and you'll get free tickets to shows or whatever. That's what they're talking about. Hey, by the way, we got extra tickets if you want to come see a show for free. 2-drink minimum, but you can come in. Ticket price is free. Come on in, because they know you'll order food and all that kind of stuff, so they paper the room. And when they paper the room, the folks, they're regulars. These are the people who sign up all the time, are always on the mailing list, are bodies to fill the club, make it full regularly, comedy fans who don't just go see Jim Breuer, they go see everybody. He was on SNL, he did Goat Boy and that kind of stuff. And he tours on that. In the same way that Rob Schneider does, to an increasingly... I don't think their crowds are getting smaller. I think they're becoming more... Their appeal is becoming more refined. And the truth is, his fans either already have had COVID or will go see him in a parking lot, I suppose. But the rest of the audience at that comedy club goes and sees shows there regularly. And the club would rather, because you roll into town, especially as a touring musician or comedian, you roll into town, you're gone in a couple of days. You could bring a disease. Believe me, there are artists who have rolled into town and they can link the spread of a disease to their visit. I'm just saying. I'm not one of them, but there are those. There are conversations. I've been in clubs where there was a conversation about, somebody rolled into town a couple weeks ago and now everybody's got an itchy kitty, as Stephanie Miller would put it. He was on SNL, and now he's he did Goat Boy on SNL, and now he's a neo-Christian comedian. He tours as a stand-up. And audiences are flagging, and there's this, by the way, from a marketing standpoint, this is not a dumb move. It isn't. And he, like Rob Schneider, they've gotten increasingly political in their act. And ironically is that their act started out as the farthest thing from it. So over time, your audience starts to shift, get more angry. You get a lot of clapter, not laughter. Dennis Miller's the same thing. Yeah. There's no such thing as bad publicity. I would ask Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby about that, but there's obviously some limits to it. But in terms of this, as far as audience, this is pulling audience to him. This is a game. This is a promotion trick. This is not based on some sort of ethic or pushback in his audience. This is trying to make people come out, like get the MAGA crowd, which are bored and lonely and, need to feel wanted and liked and revered. So you go out and you say, I'm not going to bow to the powers that be, and, don't Fauci my Florida, and jokes like that. And I mean, Dennis Miller made a good chunk of change doing exactly this post 9/11. And Breuer and Rob Schneider are going for like the table scraps of that crowd. That's what this is. I'm telling you. This is it is a marketing scheme. I wish you could, say that somehow he's getting a vast majority of his people aren't vaccinated and they don't want to go. No, he's trying to gin up more audience. And the places that he's playing aren't going to be places that have vaccine mandates anyways. They're going to be under 50 employees. It isn't even going to apply. There are no comedy clubs in this country that have 100 employees or more. None. It's absurd. There's like 8 people working at every comedy club. The mandate part doesn't even fucking apply. And the clubs that do it are doing it on a personal level because they're worried, because they've lost staffers, they've lost owners, they've lost family members because of this, because they work with the goddamn public. And every third comic that rolls in has a don't give a fuck crowd that they roll in with them that wrecks the place, or causes damage in general. It's just shitty tippers and mean and treats people like garbage. Or doesn't believe COVID's a thing and coughs it all over the goddamn staff. And they're having a hiring problem in the entertainment industry anyways. A lot of people aren't coming back to work because of assholes like this dragging their anti-vax crowds into the room. And then you got to do your job in a mask because they're all gross. And then they're shitting on you for wearing a mask. And so the staff quits, and the guy goes, all right, we got to do, vaccine mandate shows. It's a live gathering of a lot of people. It's a problem. It's temporary. It won't be forever. But but it worked. NBC News, comedian Saturday Night Live alum Jim Breuer says he will not be performing at venues that require proof of vaccination for guests. Actor, yeah. So there he is, saluting Joe Rogan. Look at this. Actor comedian on Rogan curing COVID. He didn't cure COVID. He had COVID. He got through it. See what I mean? Like, this is... Thank you, Jim Breuer. We must resist tyranny. This is all just going for this crowd. That's all this is. This is marketing. This is the same thing, by the way, Joe Rogan moving to Texas. Joe Rogan lived in a section of California that, the North Valley, that might as well have been an area around Dallas. Same neighborhood, same kind of everything. He wasn't downtown Los Angeles, any of that shit, any more than he's going into downtown Dallas in that regard. And by the way, if your audience are fish like that who will get vaccinated to go see a show, what must you think of your crowd all the time? But Rogan moved to Texas because of basically audience pressure and freebies. He was lured there by Abbott and those guys. And I've met Breuer at a bunch of things or whatever, and he's a bit tweaky. He's a hard like, there are a few people in the industry where you meet them and you're like, okay, might be actually crazy. Not just weird, artsy weird, but spun. But again, like I said, Rogan's thing was strategy. SNL alum cancels clubs requiring vax proof. It's segregation. They canceled him. It just turned it around. This is a construction of his agent and PR people. Sorry, this is strictly a strategy.